Hey, what's up? I was scheduled for a debate on critical race theory tonight. The opponent that I had dropped out. That was supposed to be on the Crucible. So I found a last minute replacement that was game enough. Hopefully this goes well. They don't have a video or anything like that, but we're going to have a discussion surrounding critical race theory and some other stuff. It should go about an hour long. So I'm excited to be doing this. So everyone, I'll give my opponent Craig the chance to speak first. So go ahead, Craig. You wanted to talk to me, and thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be able to do this debate tonight because I think that you're just a neo-Nazi fascist, and it's time progressives start calling out fascists like you. And I understand that you think you're some bully, trying to go up against some 17-year-old. But when you face off against someone like me, a true progressive, you'll see that you don't know what you're talking about. So let me just start off with my statements. First off, my pronouns are he, her, and zer. And I heard you say his earlier. That's not my pronoun. My pronoun in that sort of possessive is zer. So I'd appreciate if you call me zer. So I'll expect apologies for that. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's difficult. I'm not used to these types of pronouns, so it's difficult for me. So I am sorry. I didn't mean anything by it. I really will try my best. But honestly, you could ask anyone on my channel. I don't really use incorrect pronouns on purpose, so I will try my best. Hopefully, I was saying in a one-on-one conversation, we probably won't be using many pronouns, so I'm sorry about that. Yeah, well, we'll see. It would be one thing to accept an apology for someone who wasn't like a neo-Nazi like you, that wants to take away sexuality from children in schools, but clearly that's someone that you are. So allow me to give my opening statement. When it comes to critical race theory, you're going to talk about a bunch of examples of how bad it is to separate kids based on their race and things like that, and that's good, actually. So you don't have to worry about what you were saying beforehand, that I'll avoid that. Like any true progressive, I'll tell you exactly what I feel instead of hiding my feelings. I think that white people are evil. They are colonizers. We do. And as someone who's white but doesn't identify as white, I actually identify as pan-racial, which means I don't identify strongly with any one racial group. I'm involved in the spirits of race, and so I'm attracted to spirits of racialism and things like that. I don't really identify in one specific race, just like I'm non-binary when it comes to my gender. But even still, as someone who presents as someone who might be thought of as a white person, which disgusts me, I understand that people that present and look like this are the true evil that have existed in this society. They are oppressors that have tried to colonize the world. The CO2 emissions that they've emitted have made the world terrible for every single person and will destroy the world in the next 6 months if we don't radically accept a complete end to fossil fuels right now, which is one of the reasons I'm so happy that the price of gasoline has increased so much lately. Hopefully we'll finally wake up and we'll come to our senses to realize that the white man has been destroying us all along. So not only do I advocate critical race theory as it's been taught by people like Delgado and Bell, but I actually advocate going further. We should just tell these white kids that they need to shut up totally. With fucking racist fascists like you shouldn't have a platform anyways. You're as bad as landlords that charge people rent. They too should not be allowed to exist in this space. And so that's my opening statement, that I demand you apologize for being a colonialist pig who wants to be a Nazi and vote for people like Donald Trump and have all of this race, who thinks that women shouldn't be competing in sports with men and things like that, and who wants to go on and be a bigot in any way possible, regardless of based on gender, sexuality, spiritualism, transracialism, or any of the other isms that we constantly see Nazis and the alt-right espousing.
All right. You're coming in a little hot. This is why I was concerned about not having a moderator. Though I will say so far it's been good. There hasn't been a lot of interruption, which I'll give you kudos for that. You're already better than most lefties that I talk to. Most of them are constantly interrupting me. So congratulations to you for not interrupting me. It becomes a very difficult conversation.
Yeah. Let me interrupt you for a second and say, I don't need to interrupt you. I will patiently wait for your Nazi pig to finish your thoughts before I speak, because interrupting is another form of mansplaining and patriarchy, and so I don't need to do it unless I feel I need to, because as someone who's transgender and transracial, I can interrupt if I choose. I just choose right now to not do so.
Okay, whatever your reasons are, I'm thankful for it. I really am. Anyways, first off, okay. Shit. This is a broad-ranging screen you have here. So, on the trans stuff, because we're on Twitch, I don't really want to talk about the trans stuff. I don't. It could get me banned. So we're just going to table sort of the trans conversation, I think. I'll be more than happy to talk about the rest of what you said, but the trans stuff will take.
Oh, like a pig, like the pig you are, the coward you are, you fucking pussy, you fucking piece of shit. Of course you're going to table that conversation because you know that you can't beat me on that. So of course, like a fucking coward, oh, I'm afraid I'll lose my channel. If you weren't a fucking capitalist pig, you wouldn't care if you lost your channel anyways. I don't have to worry about losing my channel and things like that because these corporations like Amazon that own Twitch know that I'm morally virtuous and know that I can say what I want. It's okay for me to say these things. It's okay for me to call you a fucking pussy and things like that because I identify as someone who sometimes feels like a trans pussy. So I could use that word to you. So fuck off, you Nazi pig. Of course you're too much of a coward to debate me on this. Okay. It has nothing to do with cowardice, but what the fuck ever. Okay. And I'm glad you identify as a trans pussy, whatever that means. But going on to like questions of critical race theory, the idea that only whites are colonizers is ridiculous. This world is rife with populations of different ethnicities, different races, different creeds, different religions that were sort of colonial. In fact, the thing that separates us isn't that some societies were more moral than others. It seems that some were just more capable through technological advances or through having sheer numbers or something like that to sort of abuse their neighbors. For example, there's this sort of misnomer in the United States that the Native Americans, or whatever you want to call them, I think Muslim prefer the term Indian, but regardless of what you want to call them, the people that were here before sort of Columbus and Europe came over here, there was all sorts of tribes that were killing all sorts of other tribes. There were heinous things occurring. So it seems to me like there's always this specificity to want to, for whatever reason, any Eurocentric culture to say that they're responsible for the sins of their past, which is bigoted towards those cultures, but it's also bigoted towards sort of the cultures that you push as like these eternal victims, because you're belittling them by not giving them agency, by acting like that they're like infants that you have to protect, that their ancestors did no wrong. White people are strong enough that they have to be responsible for the sins of their ancestors, but not people of color. And so I just think that's ridiculous. Oh, of course you would say that. Any excuse to stick up for whitey, right? Oh, I'm white. I have to stick up for whitey. The reality is people of color are different. And it's not that they need to be treated like infants. The reality is they need to be treated superior to white people because that's the truth. And so what I'm saying is not that we have to baby people of color. What I'm saying is as white people, you need to grovel in front of people of color because that's your only place in this world. White people have ruined this world so much that they don't have the right to ever look at a problem. For example, how many white people did I hear talk about, oh, Will Smith smashed Chris Rock. Look at your hands right now. Do you see pigments that make you dark? If not, shut the fuck up. You have no right to speak on these. That's why you won't hear me speaking on this. But I'm transracial, so if I feel like speaking on it, it's okay. But you just need to shut the fuck up about these things. You don't know what you're talking about. White people are the only evil society that's ever existed. Straight people are the only evil sexuality that's ever existed. Cis people are the only people that identify as their gender that have ever been evil. Christians are the only religion that's ever been evil. Ableists are the only people that have ever been evil. When will you learn this? I don't even know where to begin. Like, it's almost like you're a caricature of the people that embrace in this cultural Marxism that I talk about so often. Like, what do you mean? Like, you're separating us into people who are evil, people that are born, and these are immutable characteristics. We only judge people as being evil for things that they choose to do out of their free will. So anyone, regardless you be a white nationalist, a black nationalist, whatever, anyone that looks at a group for an immutable characteristic like their race and says that they're somehow more inferior or superior or more moral or immoral, that's racism. If you do that based on sex, that men are immoral and women are moral, that's sexism. This is bigotry when you look at people for these immutable characteristics. We should strive to, as best as possible, sort of have, in the terms of race, a colorblind society, right? We understand that sins of the past have occurred. We get that, right? No one's trying to say, when we criticize critical race theory, that we shouldn't teach about slavery. Of course we should teach about slavery and things like that. What we're saying is, you don't tell little white kids, oh, you're a colonizer, you're responsible for these sins of the past, you'll always have these special privileges, and tell little black kids or other little kids of color, oh, you're always going to be a victim. This harms those people of color as well as these white kids. And it's just a really terrible, shitty, rotten thing to do. How dare you use the word shitty? Why are you attacking me like that? I fucking come here in good faith, you fucking Nazi pussy, and then you want to use the word shitty? That's fucking ridiculous. How dare you mistreat me like that?
Listen, like, you came in hot and were calling me a bunch of names. Like, I don't even think I've responded in kind. I was just saying that seems to be a shitty thing to do, to respond to people with immutable characteristics. I don't understand how someone who could come in and calling me these names, basically saying I'm a Nazi. I think maybe you said at one point, I don't know, I didn't hear. Just some people have called me an agent of Putin and then get upset when I say that that's childish. I don't understand how you could get upset when you're coming at me that hot, calling me all this vile shit. And then what did you expect? And I didn't even really come at you. That's the reality. You did come at me. What you don't understand is someone who's oppressed, is someone who's transracial and transgender. You don't understand what the rates are of self-harm and depression for people like us. And so you need to understand that you can't come at me with any aggression whatsoever. And so you just need to sit there and shut the fuck up, you fucking Nazi pussy. You understand that? That's what you need to do. Now, your whole screed about colorblindness is exactly how racism perpetuates. That's exactly what we're fighting with critical race theory. We need to fight a colorblind society because everyone looks at color. It's the only thing that matters aside from transgenderism, which is obviously more important than race. Other than that, critical race theory is the most important thing we could do because racism's in everything and color is everything. And subjective truth is the only truth there is. There is no objective truth. So when you talk about data and observationality and things like that, none of that exists. We can't even know who won the Super Bowl last year. We can't know any of that stuff. So the only thing that matters is what groups do you belong to and are they oppressed? And if they're oppressed, you're right in anything that you talk about. Okay. All right, 1 second. I don't understand what you're talking about, right? The idea, think of what this world would look like. The world that we have to accept people just because these immutable characteristics is always being right, and we can't challenge their sort of stories and things like that. That leads to a world where dialogue's impossible. In a world where dialogue's impossible, it means that conflict's inevitable. So it's true that everyone has a subjective reality. That's true. We all experience things differently. But the reality is that there is objective truth as well. We can tell who won the Super Bowl last year. And if you say, but wait, I don't think we can. Well, this is like the question of free will. You could say that we don't have free will, that everything's predetermined, but you can't live your life that way. If you lived your life that way, it would literally be nihilism. The mere fact that we're having this conversation proves that we accept that there is some form of objective reality, that we understand the words that we are saying. That's why, for example, you asked me to call you certain pronouns. Because we have an understanding of what pronouns are and what identifying someone is. So it shows that there is some sort, if everything was subjective, as you're suggesting, then we wouldn't be able to have this conversation in the first place. Because of that, we need to understand that, yeah, of course, if you're someone who grew up in the inner city and there's gang violence and stuff like that, your lived experience is going to be different than someone like me, who grew up poor, but in a rural situation where there wasn't a lot of crime and things like that. But that doesn't mean that we can't talk and we can't be able to point out when we agree or disagree with the ideas that the other people are saying. My fundamental contention is, regardless of the backgrounds we have and the immutable characteristics. Hey, thanks so much, Kinja. Really appreciate the sub there. Oh, now, Mr. Greedy Capitalist, thanks so much for the subs. Thanks for the subs. Why don't you fucking donate that money to trans organizations that are preventing depression amongst trans if you want a fucking greedy capitalist Nazi pig? Look, I try to put most of the donations I have into my channel, so whatever. If you want to donate your money to whatever organization, fine. I don't think that you're going to browbeat me into donating to any specific thing. Oh, hey, my wife's in here. She says, this is weird. Look into your psyche. I'm not comfortable. I don't think I'm doing poorly in this debate. I didn't pick my debate partner here, so anyways, getting back to what Noerr said here. So the idea that we have to look at things subjectively, anyone can make that claim. So what this then becomes is sort of an oppression Olympics. So everyone will be looking at how they're oppressed. Oh, well, okay, I'm a white man, but I'm overweight. So I'm oppressed by being overweight. So you can't understand. You have to agree with anything I say. As an overweight person, you don't know what it's like. And this just becomes nonsense. And so then we can't have discussions based on reality. Instead, everyone's just telling their subjective interpretation of what's going on, which literally leads to a form of nihilism where we can't have any discussions whatsoever. You know what? You're right. We can't have a discussion. I think I'm done talking to you, Nazi fucking pig. Clearly, I've won the debate. I've absolutely won it. You know how I know I won? Because you're a cis white man. And the mere fact that you're a cis white man means you lose everything you ever do in life. You're a fucking immoral, capitalist, Putin-supporting, Nazi fucking pig who supports the right of landlords to collect rent, who supports the rights of people to talk about trans athletes on Twitch, who supports the rights of people to question the narrative around Ukraine or COVID. All of these things are genocide. That's what you're supporting, fucking genocide. You want to talk about potential election problems regarding the 2020 election? That's genocide. You're killing people. You have blood on your hands. So I think I'm just going to be out. My name's Craig. You can check me out in a channel that I'll be creating in the future. But I'd just like to thank all of you non-cisgendered people that are listening to me. Please consider coming out as non-binary yourself. It's so hip and cool and freeing. Like, it's just so cool. We need more non-binary, and we need more transracial people out there. So please consider. You don't have to follow me. I'm not going to ask for you to donate. Donate to your regular communist charity that you're donating to. Donate to Black Lives Matter. Those leaders need a new mansion. Give your money to Black Lives Matter right now. Give your money to people like Vash and Hassan and other good communists. Give it to them. They need more mansions. They need more sports cars. That's what you could do to really make a change. And apologize and grovel if you're a cis white person to the people that are better than you in those categories. I'm out of here, you fucking Nazi pig. How dare you be rude to me this whole time? Okay, we'll see ya. Wow. That was Craig, everyone. My debate opponent backed out, so I took a last-minute replacement, and it went about it as I would have expected.